Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny and today we have a very fun project. I am going to be planting the wheelbarrow that is right behind me. If you have been to the nursery, you have seen this wheelbarrow. It is obviously right here beside the bridge that goes over to the pines. When I first got this idea of bringing an old dilapidated wheelbarrow that we could not use anymore because it was just broken apart, Jerry thought I was like had officially lost my mind, but it has been here for several years now and I have always had the most fun planting this wheelbarrow. And if I do say so myself, it always turns out to be like one of the most popular attractions here at the nursery. So when you're looking for a container, just think outside the box. If it can hold soil and retain some moisture, then you are good to go. You can turn it into a container. We'll show you some of the fun things that we have done in the past. Today, we're going to somewhat replicate, not replicate, that sounds like I'm going to copy. I'm not copying. I'm going to use some inspiration from a couple of years ago where I used the Rockin' Salvia blue suede shoes. The Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes Salvia, I'll get it straight here in a minute, in the container with Snowdrift and the Dichondra Silver Falls. It was spectacular. Today I have a whole wagon full of gorgeous plants that I'm going to use in the wheelbarrow. One is Rockin' Deep Purple. Now this is not, quote, a new plant to you, but it is an improved version, and this was part of the new introductions that Pleasant View sent us to try out this year. Rockin' Deep Purple is, I think it was the first one of the line, and this is just deep, gorgeous purple blooms. But the deep purple plant was what I would tell people was the little bit of the kind of the wildest and the most unruly of the whole line. So Proven Winners recognize that, and so they have made it more compact and more well behaved for the garden. So I have two of those that I'm going to put in here along with some Superbell, some Ageratum, some Bidens, Osteospermums, and some Sweet Alyssum. We're gonna really fill this thing up. The whole inspiration to this entire container was the Artist Blue Ageratum. I wanted to use it somewhere. It is new for us. It's not new to the market, but it is new for us, and I wanted to incorporate it. So I started with that plant, and then I added as we went along. Now, in my container, I did empty it completely out. I had the Cleopatra canna lilies in here last year. When I emptied out the soil, literally the roots took up the entire container, and I did not have any loose soil in there whatsoever. That's why I always tell you, start with fresh soil. Please do not put filler in the bottom of your containers. What do I mean by filler? Packing peanuts, old plastic bottles, pine cones. If you are trying to save money, I certainly understand that, especially in this day and age where everything is getting more expensive. Go for a smaller pot. Use less plants, because your plants cannot get nutrition from packing peanuts and water bottles. They need the soil that retains the moisture in the food for their roots to grow. So that's a little bit of a soapbox of mine. So always fill your containers completely with potting soil. What I'm going to do is, so in here is great potting soil. I did layer a nice, the bottom layer is the land and seed compost, and then I have just great potting soil. You know how much I love the Proven Winners. That's the only one I use. So it is in there, and it is nice and full. This container will go. It is now mid-April. We are so close to our last frost date. So we should have no more frost, and it will go all the way through November. So without further ado, we are going to get planting on this beautiful container. All right, so here we go. I will go ahead and apologize. I feel like I don't know how the lighting is on the camera on the video, so I will be sure to give you nice and good close-ups when we're done, but we're fighting with nature. It is what it is. Again, fully filled with gorgeous fresh potting soil. I am going to go ahead and give this a little bit of extra slow release fertilizer. That just really sustains these plants all the way through. I'm not going to give a ton. I am just going to give a couple little spoonfuls. There is a lot of soil in here, so mix it in, and this will go a very long way. And it does make a difference when you can't get to your plants all the time and give them liquid fertilizer on a regular basis. Now, I'm going to use 2 of the Rockin' Deep Purple salvias. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that they are small because these are the trial plants that, of course, came to us from Pleasant View. So there is like a 6 to 8 week difference between these plants and the ones that I'm going to use here in a minute. But let's see if I can, we're doing the dance with the camera here, show you just how pretty they are and how they're already starting to put on some little buds and some blooms. I know this plant really well, even though it is the improved version. I know this plant, it will get huge. I am not worried about them being small now and then, you know, just being kind of overtaken by the other plants. They will very, very quickly pick up and go to town and growing. So they already have nice, good roots on them. I'm gonna plant them. This is gonna be my what you would consider like your thriller in your container. Nice, tall and full. They will get 24 to 36 inches tall, and this minimum spacing is about 18 inches, 24 inches. I'm gonna plant them a little bit closer because this is a container, but even being right here, they're gonna get nice and tall and full and fill in this whole area. Now, you may have noticed here that I have my little trug because the last time I did a planting, my gosh, some of y'all just about lost your ever-loving minds because I was throwing pots on the ground. That's just how I garden. I just toss things and then I clean up. So I got a little trug here for you to, to make you feel better. Now, for the Artist Blue ageratums, I haven't exactly planned out how this is going to go exactly in my brain, like the layout of everything. So we have the Artist Blue, which will get 12 inches tall. Then I have the Double Moon Glow Osteospermum, the bright lights. It too will get 8 to 12 inches tall, so they're going to be about the same size. Then I have my Goldilocks Rocks, which is just, oh my gosh, this is one of my absolute favorites. 8 to 14 inches tall, so in a container, prime conditions, I'm gonna go ahead and say it's gonna be some of my taller ones, and it will go wide as well. So I'm gonna kind of stick this a little bit towards the back. And then I have the Super Bells Blue Moon Punch, which is definitely gonna be one of my smaller, shorter ones that spills over. So I know that that will come to the front. And I also have White Knight, which is a definite spiller, 8 to 12 inches tall. So I had decided I was going to kind of put it here on the end and kind of spilling out. So that's roughly, I think, the layout of it. Obviously, I'm going to use a lot more plants in here. So let's go ahead, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to intermingle the Artist Blue, the Goldilocks Rocks, and the Bright Lights Osteospermum, because this is really my first time planting both the Artist Blue ageratum and the Bright Lights. Bright Lights are a fantastic annual that will just give you lots of color early on in the season. They are definitely a cool weather plant, so they're great for spring, early summer, and then fall. They really, with our heat and humidity, they tend to kind of, I don't want to, well, the best way I can explain it is kind of what I call peter out, right? They just kind of fade away, they melt in the heat and the humidity of our summer. So that's okay in this container, because when they are on their way out, my Bidens and everything else will fill in and just kind of cover them up. And if I want to pull them out, I certainly can. But having them in here as a bright, nice early season color is a great option for sure. I had pulled 5 of everything. I don't think I have enough room because even though I am gonna fill it full. I'm not gonna just jam pack it because I am thinking long term here for, I want this to last for a long part of my season. So we're gonna let's stick one of these in here. So maybe I'll use 3 of everything. That kind of ended up in a row. I did not really mean for that to end up in a row, but it did. Yeah, it'll be fine. All right, so my osteos. Now, Double Moon Glow is a gorgeous double bloom on it. And I have found that, because most time I tell you that you don't need to deadhead your plants, and you don't have to deadhead the osteos, but I have found that it certainly does help with their flower production. So you just take the old spent blooms, just cut them back as far as you can. One, of course, it cleans up the plant. It makes the plant look neater. And this one snipped off. It got a little bent, so we'll go ahead and cut it off. And there we go. Get them in the ground. All right, so what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of play around a little bit and get these planted, and then once everything's planted, I will come back and we will kind of chit chat and figure out exactly how it looks in the end. We'll all learn together how this thing is gonna turn out. But I'm gonna get to planting, and yeah, so much fun. So I got everybody planted, and I know right now it's a little bit of it's a little bit of a menagerie of color, and it looks a little oddly planted in my opinion because the salvias are still so small. I know without a doubt these things are going to very quickly get huge and fill in and get massive and tall and thick and bushy. So I'm thinking long term. I am not thinking instant. If I were having a big party or get together or social event where I needed this to look full right now, I would not have used these 2 salvias. I would have come up with something else that's nice and full and probably put in more plants. So when you're planting your containers, you have to have your goal in mind, right? My goal is long-term color and beauty and interest that will last me all the way through late fall. Hence, this is why it is planted the way it is. If you have watched us for any length of time, you know that I am a huge proponent of, when you finish your containers, to top dress them with a nice thin layer of mulch. This is just the same mulch that we use in our landscape. It is simply a hardwood mulch. It helps, one, instantly kind of clean up the container. So I don't have any potting soil that is showing. It's just a nice little pockets of pretty plants and some nice mulch. Also, it will help retain moisture. Obviously, this wheelbarrow is not on irrigation. There is drainage holes in it, but it is not per se on irrigation. So the only time it will get watered is if we water it or it rains. So there we go on that. So the mulch helps retain that moisture so you don't have to water as often. It insulates the roots, helps keep the weeds down. Exact same reasons that you use it in your landscape. So I am just gonna finish up and get this mulch down. All right, my friends, the wheelbarrow is planted with some very bright, very happy, cheery colors. Super excited about it. I cannot wait to watch this grow and develop. In my brain, it is going to be gorgeous. Of course, we will keep you updated on this, probably most likely through when we do nursery tours, because we will be coming by this a lot. But just to recap, okay, so here in the back, my little tiny ones, my little tiny deep purple salvias. I have 2 of them. They will get nice and big. And then we've got the Goldilocks Rocks Bidens that are sprinkled out through there. They will get some height to them, but they will also get nice and wide. They are a massive pollinator attractor. I had to kind of shoo off some honeybees in order to pick these plants out of the nursery. So if you're looking to attract pollinators to your garden, the Goldilocks Rocks Bidens is a fantastic one to do. So Goldilocks Rocks, of course, is in here. And then for a nice softer yellow with a little bit of white in there is the Double Moon Glow Osteospermum. It's the Bright Lights Double Moon Glow. Bright Lights is the series, Double Moon Glow is the color. Osteospermums, they will, again, nice 12 inches tall and get wider. They will kind of start to fade away in the heat of the summer. So that's okay. I have planned for that, and the other plants will take over and fill in those holes. So that's not that big of a deal, but for the spring, it sure is a nice cheery pop of color. So we've got those. Then of course, the Artist Blue Azuratums. Really excited to see how these do for us. I personally have never grown them, but everything that I've read said that they handle the heat and humidity like a champ. They can get, 12 inches tall and nice and wide. So they will fill in here. I think the blue of the Azuratum with kind of the deep purple of the Salvia will be a very nice color companion with one another. And then to kind of bring that in, we have the Superbell's Blue Moon Punch. I ended up putting 3 of them right here. And I actually pulled all the soil away and made like a trough and just put them right beside each other. These will get nice and get some height to them, and then they will spill over and it will be gorgeous. And then on the very end, we did the White Knight Sweet Alyssum. If you've never done alyssum before, it smells amazing. It has the sweetest little smell to it, almost kind of a honeysuckle smell. It is a major trailer, so it will spill over really well. It obviously has those continuous blooms on it all season long, and it does like to be wet. So if you're going to put it in the landscape or in a container, you're going to want to put it with things that like to have a lot of moisture. I have the perfect spot at the patio because this area, when it rains, the water just kind of all comes this way. Didn't know that because it's our first year being in those beds. So I am putting alyssum in that spot because it loves all of that water and will do really well. So this container is going to have height to it. It is going to be filled in, and it is going to have spillers. Very, very fun container that will last me all the way through the fall. Hopefully you have found some plants that are interesting to you and that you have added to your gardening journal that you can be on the lookout for. And as always, thanks so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.